and welcome back to another edition of Get Real with Jack and Cindy. I'm Cindy Morrison.
And I'm Jack Wallace. We're glad you're here. We have a special guest, Brian Eck with UQual. Did I say all that right?
You said it perfectly.
All right. So we're going to talk about kind of what you guys do, and that's the most important thing, and how that benefits people that are both professionals in real estate, but also I think really talk to the end user too, because we kind of have both. We do have both that watch the show. So
Right.
The thing that I think is really important about this though is that you are actually coming to Tulsa next week to do some training and Oklahoma City, right? And so this is good for people that are with Chenoweth and Cohen, and I think a couple of other organizations to see this and understand what it would be that they would get to learn and what the potential is with being in your class. So if you wouldn't mind just giving us a quick introduction of what it is that your company does and who you
No,
are and all that.
no, I appreciate it very much, Jack. And first off, I want to thank you guys for having me. I watched several of the podcasts over the weekend. You guys are awesome. I love the energy. Great people.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're welcome.
Me.
So
Newscaster. I'm just somebody who pretended to be in the press box during speech. So
I think it works out well. I love the energy. You can tell natural chemistry when you see it. You know, that's the biggest thing I think on these things. So here at UQual, we gang are a fintech mortgage centric platform, and what that means is we're an assortment of apps that we built and put together that is all focused on either helping LOs and realtors get their clients from decline to loan eligible so they can't buy a house due to their credit or their debt to income, down payment savings, and giving them the tools and coaching to kind of empower themselves to get where they need to be and keep the LO in the loop along the way, because that's a future commission, that's a future client they get to help. And for the clients that are sent over by our referral partners, because we're actually 100% referral based, we don't buy ad space, we're not SEO operating or whatever that's called nowadays, like everyone else. We're all word of mouth. And it's because when clients are sent to us by an LO or realtor, we work our tails off to give them all the coaching, the advice, the counsel, and the tools in conjunction with their referral partner to get them where they need to be. And I've been here for 10 years, 2 months, and 22 days. I've lost count almost. I'm almost losing count. I love what I do, so time kind of flies. But we help people have hope. And it's one of the biggest things that I'm most passionate about is a lot of people, and they get turned down by, they go to a realtor at an open house and they're like, hey, I want to buy a house. And the realtor's like, hey, I got to send you over to my LO. Let's see what you get qualified for. And then they get the call saying, hey, we can't get you qualified right now. You're nowhere close. You're so far away. Do you know what credit is? And it just breaks their heart sometimes, and they can give up on that dream of becoming homeowners and having generational wealth and a safe place for their kids. So I take great pride and passion, and it's why they'll need security if they ever want to get rid of me, on helping people take control of their lives and create a better future and a better tomorrow.
What do you see are the biggest problems? I know I've had some actually clients in their 30s that had no credit because they just paid cash and used their debit cards for everything. And then I've had other clients that their debt is out of control, they're buried. What kind of things do you see? And then how do you help them overcome those problems?
I love that question. I would say, and I work in a world with so many different ins and outs when it comes to the credit and the finances and debt to income and how much do I really owe versus how much I make. The biggest thing that I would say that holds people back is the lack of education.
Mm-hmm.
No one gets a credit class when they're in high school. No one gets a finance class. Like, I learned how to sew a pillow in home ec in 10th grade. Never had to do that once again in my life. But I didn't learn how to file taxes, or I didn't learn how a credit card affects my credit score differently than installment loan, or why going 30 days late. All of clients say it all the time. I was only 30 days late, Cindy. I say, only? What do you mean only? That's like the biggest thing in the world. You just killed your score. So the lack of education that leads to people either hopping online and getting their info from TikTok and Facebook and Instagram, which is a scary proposition, or just kind of, and you touched on it, burrowing their heads in the sand and paying cash for everything, whether it's lack of education because they don't know how to control it or because they're scared of it. The more that people learn, I think the more comfortable with the tools that they can handle they are. which gives them more ability to actually take steps in the right direction. Because even the richest of the rich, I talk to people who, like the fellow who owns my company, does okay for himself and he still finances things because credit is a tool. Once you learn how to use it, it's an impactful tool, or it's something that robs you of all your money, and it's money that people work hard for. So I would have to say education is the biggest thing.
That's so interesting. I just spoke at my alma mater at my university and to a bunch of business students and discussing real estate. And I thought, you know what, I'm just going to go back to basic because we have a tendency to over talk to people and thinking, I remember getting my license for real estate at 18 and I was selling houses and I didn't know what a mortgage was. Like, I'm not joking. I didn't, I never bought a house. I didn't, no one talks about paying the mortgage when I was growing up. And so it was an interesting thing that people would go, well, how do I go about getting a mortgage? I'm like, what's that? Yeah, I mean, it's amazing. So 40 years later, 40 some years later, here we are. But no, what was interesting is that these kids, their business, I mean, they knew all about business. They had no idea what credit was, how you build it, what it is. I mean, it was just astounding because as we say, they don't learn that in high school. It's bigger than that. I mean, these were like the kids in business school that are learning incredible concepts, but the basic, just day to day, how we as citizens go through life do it. And then I really, not to bash Dave Ramsey because he does a lot of good things, but it's a problem because if you're not teaching people how to use the tools like you're talking about, you're teaching them how to abstain. I mean, it's kind of,
Yeah.
not to be graphic, but it's kind of like the difference between sex education and just saying don't do it. Like
Right.
there's a certain amount of this. We have to teach people how to responsibly use it. And now for tracking, I mean, I use my credit cards to track my expenses. I use it to get points for my airline miles. I mean, but then I pay it off. Like, you and
That being the key thing right there, paying it off.
Paying it off.
please
Yeah.
stay to that 30% mark or whatever that is, because you sometimes use it, in our business. We
You have to.
we have to because you have a commission 1 month and then you don't for 2 months. So
Right.
Yeah.
the way to use that, knowing it's going to be a first priority when the money comes in to get that paid back. But so in the age of AI, which that's like the thing right now that everyone in our business is discussing because it's changing everything but nothing.
Yeah.
So well, really, I mean, I keep saying, don't be so scared of AI because you're still going to sell a house, which is brick and mortar. We're just going to sell it with tools that we didn't have last week. That's the difference. So it's not
Yeah.
scary, it's just different. But from your standpoint, do you guys use some kind of like an AI integration? How do you go about, if somebody signs up for your service, let's say, how do you go about processing them through and helping them?
So that's a great question. And yeah, you said one of the magic words on AI, but the other thing you said about Dave Ramsey, I love the fella. It's a cool campus and all that jazz. But the people who are like shutting off all of their credit, if you're a multimillionaire, cool. I don't think you should do it, but cool. You've got the money to do things like that. The average Joe Schmo that's like cutting up all their credit cards and losing 30% of their overall FICO scores, they're not built for that, as the kids say nowadays. You know what I mean?
One more time.
When it comes to
FICO, that's a huge number, guys. 30%. Yeah.
Second largest piece. And that's one of the things that these classes that I'm going to be out there in Oklahoma doing is a huge credit education. It's almost half of what I'll be going over is even my company or the tools that we have. It's just teaching both realtors and future home buyers, because I'll even say perspective. If you want it, you can get it. Home buyers who don't get this education. But the way that AI is integrated with our system and the process for a client is when there's someone that needs help, whether they find us through one of these great classes or sent by someone at CC Tulsa or whatever it may be, they first get a free consultation with us with a free tri-merge soft pull. And I make sure to stress the word soft pull because we don't do anything here that will ever take points from a client. Hard pull is a lender trying to get you approved for a certain amount of debt, approval for a car, a credit card, a home loan. Different algorithms are used for different industries, and that's something a lot I can tell Jack already knows, but not everyone knows like a mortgage score is different than a credit card score, which is different than an auto loan score. They even use the credit scoring algorithms in auto insurance to figure out how much they can charge or overcharge someone, as if your auto insurance should have something to do with your credit scores, but that free consults to go over what the good is, what the bad is, and what the client can do both with us and without us. Because there are some clients that we're going to look at and say, hey, you don't need us. You can go back on over and just do this, this, and this, and you'll actually be good in the next 3 weeks. We'll call your lender right now and tell them what the homework is. Because our job is to help clients close on that immediate goal. For a lot of the clients at the end of the call, it's not just going to be a quick do this, do that. There's a little bit of work that needs to get put in. So when they sign on with us at the end of the consult and going through everything, they get onboarded and integrated into our system, and they have a new best friend. Her name is Alex. She is the AI that we named that every time they log in, they're going to get a congratulations if they're doing their homework. They're, every time they log in, not doing their homework, she's going to politely, persistently prod and poke a little bit on, hey, your credit card balances went up, not down. We need to work on that because you have a goal of trying to buy a house. Outside of Alex, the AI, there to help and coach, I have people above me, and you actually just heard someone walking by maybe, that are coaches here in our Denver, Colorado office that we want to talk to people on a monthly basis because tech is cool and tech is fun. And I'm at a tech company, so go tech. But at the same time, having flesh and bone people, just kind of like you said, Jack, it's still going to take realtors. It's still going to take brick and mortar. It's still going to take builders. It's still going to take going house shopping. It's not all going to be replaced by AI as much as, the Alt Friedmans or whatever it is want that to be the case, right? So we still have human being people here to guide the clients on a monthly basis. And then when they sign up, for those who do, outside of getting the AI tools, there's credit tools to be able to work on and improve their current standing. For some clients, it's going to be a lot of coaching on what to do and what not to do, what accounts to open or close. Everyone's fingerprint is different. And I had a best friend that I ran this company with for a long time, who's no longer here. She moved on to different ventures a couple of years ago. But when we would get a question on one of these things, should I close this credit card? Should I open a credit card? Her and I move over, she's right here in my mind. We'd look at each other and say, it depends, like an 80s sitcom every time. Because there's some clients where shutting down a credit card is the best thing they could do because they just opened it up and it shortened their length of credit, which is 15% of the FICO scores. There are some people who listened to Dave Ramsey 5 years ago, shut down all their revolving or credit card accounts, which are credit cards, store cards, or sometimes lines of credit, and they need to establish. For client A, that card you got to get rid of. It's killing you. For client B, without a card, you're missing out on so much of your score, you're never going to make it. So that detailed analysis and breakdown and what we call game plans, we give to the clients. And then like a physical trainer, which you can tell I don't have, but that's okay. We coach these folks to make sure that they head in the right direction. And I learned from my father a long time ago, an ugly truth is way better than a beautiful lie. Yeah, we won't tell the clients beautiful lies. It's all going to be the ugly truths of, hey, you want this house, you want this goal. We're going to have to pump these numbers up and get you where you need to be. And to do that, you have to do this, this, and this. And that's what I love about realtor teams that we work with. It's not just the client and us. It's the client, us, and the realtor. The client, us, the realtor, and the LO. And it takes a village to make it happen for some folks. So being referral based with the realtors I work with, and their clients are working with us, just like the client's updating their credit report every month, we're updating the realtor every month. So the realtor can call and say, hey, I know you're killing the game with UQual. You're really, really doing a good job. Let's keep this going. So they have someone in their corner other than Alex. Their coach is here, but they also have the referral partner that sent them over to help get them back. Because that's the ultimate goal. 90% of clients that are using us to get into a mortgage or to refi or whatever it is. So that is the immediate pushing all hands on deck to make happen type goal. And that's why I love being referral based, because there's a whole group of us that are working towards the same end.
I just want to say that's kind of a mind-blowing to me, like doing this, and I study this stuff backwards and forward because it's fascinating to me. And also because I always tell people I had terrible credit for a long time and I fixed it and I got it in shape. And now I'm happy to say most of the time I had perfect credit, but it took years and years of not really wanting to pay attention to it to get there. But the thing, I've never heard that about closing something that's not that long to shorten that history. I mean, like that's the kind of stuff that you just don't know if it's not your all-time thing. Like with you, right. This is what you focus on. It's such a mystery still in so many ways to us how the whole thing, the whole organic thing works. But I think for me, when we look at the statistic of first-time home buyer age going up so high now, I think this is why. I think this is a lot more the reason why than all the other things they're talking about, because I think we have so many kids who just don't understand this part of the discipline. and they don't understand the game, where I think in the past generations, including ours, we had to sort of take on things earlier, responsibilities earlier. I mean, people got married earlier, they had children earlier, which I'm not saying that's the thing to do,
Right.
but I think it forced you to be
They had to
more,
adult earlier.
yeah, and I think
Yes, exactly right.
establish credit. It forced you to figure out how to pay things and to all that. And I think we've lost some of that. So I think we got to catch them up. And I think this does it. But you've said the word a couple of times, which is the words, which are some of the most favorite words in I use this all the time whenever I do my Wallace Legacy lessons, and that is the generational wealth builder. I am so fortunate because I came from parents, you came from parents who built rental property. They built portfolios because my parents came from very modest background and they just didn't want to live like that. And so they worked and worked and worked and used credit and then used. And I just think that is so exciting for people that have not been in a family where that loop has been continued, to now be able to jump into the loop. So let's talk a little bit about what that means as far as how credit and how that affects generational wealth building.
I love that. And it's one of the things, and I travel the whole country. I go from the East Coast to the West Coast, and it's the same whether you're in Montana, New York, Oklahoma, or California. There are people, and I equate a lot of it to rich dad, poor dad, where if you don't have someone to teach you the tools, you're not going to necessarily learn them on your own, right? You have to go out and find them. When people are looking at, why do I live check to check, or why can't I move forward, and why am I stuck in this rut, and like, woe is me, and you kind of touched on a moment ago, Jack, like this generation thinking that like I'm never going to be able to afford a house, and they think it's because of all these other things. No, you just need to take advantage of the tools that you have to be able to make it happen. So when someone does go from renting eternally and paying 100% interest, because you're never putting money towards anything, you're never building equity on that, and you're reliant upon a landlord raising or lowering or extending or not, like that's a not fun way to live that I did for a lot of my life as well. When someone gets to cross that bridge and buy a home, well, now you're building equity. Now you're building a safety nest for your family that you can do a couple of things with. I've had clients, and sadly I've done this so long, that when the client signed up, and actually just got this a couple of months ago, her daughter was 13 when she signed up. And she was one of the first people that I helped get into a home, like kind of by myself, not by myself, but here. She emailed like 6 months ago, 5 months ago, where she took a ton of, she got, I think it was $180,000 in equity in her home. That because she took the steps 9 years ago to be able to buy a home and change her life, she is able to take out a ton of that equity to pay for most of her daughter's college education in cash.
Nice.
Her daughter's not taking out any loans. Her daughter's not going to have to worry about working a job while she's in college. Mom wanted to take care of it. It's a single mom who did that because she made the changes forever ago to where her daughter now not only gets to benefit from the equity she took out of that home, but that single mom, she never went to college. And when she called me and said, hey, not only was I the first in my family to own a home, but my daughter is the first in our family to go to college. Like I get a little teary eyed just talking about it now. And that was a little while ago, because it changes people's, and I always, when I'm in person, it's like an arrow. Where is your arrow pointing on? Is it a harder life or is it an easier life? And
Sure, that's me, you know.
Well, and just in your example, think about it from this standpoint. So people that are watching, she was going to pay that money every month, regardless, because you can pay it in rent or you can pay yourself. And so whenever Brian said earlier, 100% interest, that's what we're talking about. Rent, and there are times when it's good to rent. I mean, there's times when it's good to rent. If you don't have a dime to your name, you need to be renting. But if you've got some built up to protect yourself, think about this. But you're paying 100% to somebody else and building their generational wealth, building their portfolio, but you're really not building yours. So when you want to go and become someone who builds that, like you said, she could have paid the rent to someone else and just have it go away every month, but she instead paid it to herself, let it escalate and compound. And now her daughter is being able to go to college, and that's amazing. Instead of her daughter then taking on loans that she's going to,
which burdens her. Yeah, you know what I mean? And don't get me wrong. I have a lot of beliefs, but I pull from a lot of different things. And there's something in the Bible I really, really love. There's a lot of Bible I love. But the borrower is slave to the lender is like a really, really popular one. And I'm not Dave Ramsey, once again, don't get rid of all your debt. But I would say that she freed her daughter of having to wear those chains in the future.
Yes, for
You
sure.
know, and that's what a parent's job is, to try and make the next generation's life easier and better. And because mom invested in herself, and that's one of the things that we talked about with Hope, years and years and years ago, she's able to take advantage of that now. And even outside that, I see people, and one of the owners of this company back in the day before he retired used to always say, you can work hard now or you can work hard later. No matter what, you're going to end up working hard. Whether it's young in life or you're a Walmart greeter at 67 because Social Security is not taking care of you the way that you thought it would or whatever. People who own a home, and I mean, even someone who bought a home in 2004 made to that through 2008. How much is that house worth anywhere in the country now versus those who didn't do it and that don't have that nest egg to be able to pass down on to their kids, to be able to help fund their dreams. I've known people that were able to buy carpet cleaning vans and build up a little empire of carpet cleaning here in Colorado because their parents helped invest, and their parents were only able to help invest because they owned a home from back in the day that they were able to get money out of. It changes so much of what you're able to do. So to generational wealth, and even outside of generational wealth, not to go too far, Jack, but just not being poor.
Amen.
Because credit and bad finances will leave you poor for life, leave you working harder, leave you paying more for everything. You guys see it all the time. Auto loans at 25% for 8 years.
And people sign up all day long for it. Well, the other thing too, they're checking credit when you do a job application now.
Yeah, it's over half.
The underlying driver of wealth in this country, and people do not really understand that. I can't emphasize to younger people enough. Like, that's the one thing when I was at my university, and said, look, they're going to give you credit cards. They want you to use them. You should use them and pay them off every month. You should build that credit. You should use them, but do not, like, when they tell you that you can afford $10,000 on that credit card. There's no way you can afford $10,000 on that credit card, but you can afford to buy the things you were going to buy anyways and pay them off in 30 days.
But it's the same thing with the house. When you look at a loan, you might be approved for a $500,000 house, but when you break it all down, do you want to not eat or go on vacation or send your kids to college? Just because you're approved for that doesn't mean that's smart business to spend that.
Which also gets us back to, I would say, people really are looking for a monthly. They're looking for what the monthly is going to be. They really are looking for what their rent's going to be, whether they're purchasing or they're not. And so that is a lot of what Brian's talking about too, because we can get that interest rate down because your credit is better. Then guess what? Your monthly goes down on the same house. You're paying less because you're not paying. I would say bad credit is just blood in the water. It's showing a lender that there's blood in the water. You're having a hard time because you're either overextended in how much you're borrowing, so you're living off of credit, or you haven't paid things back, so that you're going to, the minute there's trouble, you're going to bail on them. I mean, it makes sense.
Really and that's all a credit score is a 3-digit, barometer on how likely you are to pay back debt. Because people always think it's how much debt I owe or how much active accounts. It's just, can you pay back money that you said you were going to pay back? So once you have, and I love the realtors and the LOs who are like, yeah, as you said, Cindy, 500 might be your max, but do you want to be house broke? Do you not want to have money in the bank? Do you not want to be able to afford the AC when it goes out? I know too many people that when the AC goes out, they have to take a second or like get a lien. Like, what are you doing having to take financing from the repair guy to get your stuff fixed? Where if you had just been a little bit wiser up front and had a little bit of reserve, like Jack said in the beginning, well, it makes it to where, how many American families can't afford a $500 emergency? That's crazy to me.
So when you talk about the DTI, debt to income ratio, for somebody who feels like they are so upside down that they're not going to get right side up again, what advice do you give them? Start to pay off that highest interest credit card first and make the monthly minimums on the others until you can get rid of that one? What do you suggest?
Let me answer that. It depends.
It depends. I was doing it, Dad. You were right there. Perfect. So the reason it depends, and it really, really does. I love that. That's high five through the camera. First things first, and we've talked a lot about our budget tools and the AI and all that, or our credit tools and AI rather. We have, being a fintech mortgage-centric platform, we have some of the best budget tools when a client signs on with us that the AI, Alex, and the client are going to go through first the transactional report. Where's your money going? I can't tell you how to start saving it until I see where it's going. And not me, myself, but AI and the client saying, hey, did you know that you're spending X amount on Starbucks? Did you know you spent X amount on Uber Eats and X amount on going out? And the different things that are fun to do can be nice conveniences, but conveniences are only applicable when the necessities are taken care of, right? So from first the transactional report, and even some of it, how many streaming services do you have? I had a client last week, and it's crazy because I was going to say last month, which is last week. When she broke it down, she was $280 a month on streaming services between her friends, and her family that she was just burning on a monthly basis. Didn't even know she had several of them. That right there, and to some people, $300 or $280 a month is like, oh, that's nothing. For a lot of people, that's quite a something, and for her, it really, really was. Outside of the little things like the death by 1,000 paper cuts, when we start looking at what debts to conquer, the reason it depends is, let's say their highest interest credit card, Cindy, is their 10,000 Chase Sapphire. Well, that one's going to take a long time to be able to bring down, even on the expanding over the monthly minimums. This is where Dave Ramsey and I will generally agree on, like, one of the few things that we do on the snowball method. And there's two reasons why. I want to take care of the smallest cards and start working my way up to the bigger ones. Okay. One is it's conquerable and people can see success. And we actually had a behavioral analytics company come in to teach us how to teach Alex, the AI, how to like client success, because people feeling that validation, that improvement, and that encouragement, they keep moving forward. Exactly right. So as they start to conquer those smaller cards, well, as we talked about, credit card balances are 30% of the FICO score. So say this client still has two really big credit cards on this side, but they've paid off 6 of their smaller ones. Well, now has the score increased enough to where maybe an installment loan to take care of these 2 higher ones at 8% is going to save the client a ton of money and get their balances paid down. Right. I'm looking at debt to income and budget on that side in addition to credit, because I can use the credit to help on their debt to income to help the two come together organically. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally.
Mind blown. That's really cool. That's really cool.
So let's let people know exactly when these classes are going to happen so they can sign up. Give them all the things.
And I have them in case you don't.
I don't write on me. I know I'm in Owasso on the 10th from 11 to 1, I want to say.
You're in Owasso November the 11th, 11:30 to 1 at the Chenoweth and Cohen office. Oklahoma City, you are 10 to 12, November the 12th in the Edmond office. And yeah, and then there's another one on here that I cannot read. So those are the two that we know for sure.
Let me fix that, because we moved to Owasso. I'm happy because 11/11 is Veterans Day, and that's a sincere thank you from everyone at my company and everyone in my family to all the folks who, serve for our country and really, just make it to where we can be us. So the 11th is moved in Owasso. It's a lunch and learn from 12 to noon at 13512 East 116th Street, North Owasso, on the 10th, which is that Monday.
Okay.
On Wednesday, I'm in OKC, which is 10 to noon in the Edmond office out there on Kelly Point Parkway in Edmond. And then there's a Keller Williams event on the 13th from 1 to 3 that is still TBT on the location, but anyone who needs it can reach out to either myself or you guys, and we can definitely get there.
Awesome.
As we go.
Sounds great.
Thank you so much for this. And what you're doing is so needed in this country, because as Jack said earlier, we're just not learning these things early enough. And sometimes by the time you do learn the lesson, it's hard to make that course correction.
And you feel like you're too far down the road to turn around, and you're never. Yeah. The one thing I could say, you see how excited I got. I popped up. You think Jack in the box, Brian in the box.
In any box.
No one puts baby in a corner either. It's never too late to make a change. It's never too late. And I mean, I won't go to my whole personal story, but there's a time in this life where I had absolutely nothing, no one, and like life was the bleakest, darkest night you could think of. And I'm here today, and I have a beautiful son and a beautiful wife and all that kind of stuff. And it's because it's never too late to turn around. So like anyone who's watching this, if you're one of those people is I'm never going to buy a house, I'm never going to be able to make, I'm never going to make a change in my life. That's only right if you believe it. If you believe the other side of it, you're willing to put in the work and you have a sincere and honest desire to make a change. I think anyone can do anything with people who help them. And we're here to help, just like great people like yourself.
Well, I don't think we could end on anything better.
Exactly. Never say never.
Never say
and
never.
The one thing we're guaranteed is change. So I love that.
Yes. And I also just want to say thank you so much for spending the time with us. And I really do hope people come out and really pay attention to this, because I think we can help so many people. I think that's really, I mean, and help your own business. I mean, that's, you know, I think that's important, but I think we can help a lot of people to figure out how to get in the game or get back in the game. So,
Amen.
yeah, awesome.
So thanks guys for having me.
Thank you.
Thanks.
See you soon.
See you soon. Bye.